In this video, I'm going to redesign the brand new 2026 Aston Martin Vanquish Volante, meaning that this is the convertible version of the coupe that was unveiled just about 6 months ago or so. I think the design overall, it's a stunning looking machine. With the line flow, I think the British automaker Aston Martin is becoming more Italian than Ferrari itself when it comes to emotional and organic looking design in their cars. This is a beautiful looking machine. However, the front grille is something that we need to talk about in this case. There's just a small tweak. Usually what I want to do with these redesigns is just when I look at the car and the first 2 seconds when I see a new vehicle, something usually pops out to me, and I feel like there is something that I want to change. If I know there's anything to change on the car, I will notice it within the first 5 seconds of looking at a new car. And that was the case with this. So what we're gonna do is redesign the front end of this. I'm gonna show you just small tweaks that we're gonna do, and show you when I show you the before and after, it's gonna make sense to you what it is I'm seeing when I look at this front of the new Vanquish Volante. I did make a redesign of the coupe, but I'm gonna make this a little bit different, and I actually prefer the way this redesign came out. Before we jump into that though, let's have a look at the Vanquish here from my front, side, and rear real quick, because I went over this on my second channel already. But if you haven't checked it out, what I love about this is, first of all, this line right here, one of my favorite lines of any automotive design, having this line from the hood coming down and creating the frame for the grille here, looking beautiful. We have some nice reflections here in the front end as well, in addition to the side intake. There's nothing complicated about this design. It's a very clean looking design. However, when we come into the grille here, this grille to me, I'm going to show you just a few years ago how much this grille has grown over the years, and I'm starting to think it's becoming too vulgar for Aston Martin. This it looks almost like a whale mouth now, and in addition to that, the Vanquish in specifically has this concave solution to the internal pieces of the grille. You can see how it bends inwards like this. What I want to do is have the complete opposite, like we've used to seeing from Aston Martin, have it be convex and have these be outward, so it creates this nice mouth when you're looking at it from a side view, which is going to be the key component here, where it looks very strange having this be concave like we have right here. Gonna work a little bit on the headlight unit in this area and create some sort of DRLs, maybe going something like this, one single line like this, a C shape, and of course make this grille a little smaller because it's huge. I know a lot of some people are gonna DM me like they did last time I did the Vanquish redesign and say that, hey, we need to have this large grille because it's a lot of cooling that needs to come out to this big V12. I think we can shrink down the grille and still make it work. I'm sure they have engineers good enough to be able to shrink this grille and still retain the same type of cooling that's needed. Now, looking at the side view, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the front end design of this grille, because now it goes inwards like this. It has a curvature like this when I want to have a curvature like that to just create a nice framing for the front end. But overall, the line flow in the side view looks beautiful. I love the muscle that goes over the rear axle here into this nail spoiler that Audi calls it, and then into the very interesting graphics that we have for the rear end, which I said in my other video. This is a very bold decision to have these type of graphics in here, because these are super static, and it's the only static graphic detail in this entire vehicle. So it's a very bold decision to make this this static and go with it into production when everything else about this vehicle is completely, you know, organic and beautiful and soft and fluid, in addition to a couple of key sharp lines here. For example, massive bazooka tailpipes in the lower section. Interiors, what a refresh Aston Martin has done with the interiors the last 2 years or so with the new models, the new Vantage. Compare that to the old Vantage, I mean, it's night and day. This is just what I want to see in an Aston Martin. But going back in time here, you can see the grills, how they have evolved over time. We have the DB7 up here with a very small, very nice looking grill. It still has the Aston Martin design to it, and we still have this, my favorite line of Aston Martin front ends, this line intact for the DB7. Going into the DB9, still have similar size grill. It grew a little bit, that's totally fine. We have more of an opening in the lower section here now as well. I think this is beautiful because this separation here between the top half graphics right here and the lower half graphics is pretty distinct with this bumper that we have in the middle. It's a very, very simple car design philosophies here that are in place with these old Aston Martin models. This line, I think it got less pronounced than what we had in the DB7 up top, but it's still there. Exotic style headlights mounted inside of the front fender, looking beautiful. Going into the DB11 here, again, just grew a little bit more with the grille. And we have this line now being very pronounced. I love to see that they emphasize this line even more than what we had in the DB7 and the DB9. We still have an opening down here at the bottom, looking nice. And this still has a V8. I'm not sure if you can get it with a V12. But they still managed to, figure out the cooling here with this small opening in the front. But look what happened here. What happened with the DBS Superleggera in this case? I mean, this grille, this is too much. It's becoming like a big wall of black in the front end, and it doesn't give the front end a clear face. And that is what I think is happening with Aston Martin right now. So I think they need to dial it back a little bit when it comes to the grille size and the grille designs. In case you missed it, my 11-hour online class in design sketching is now only $47. If you have any desire to pick up the skill of sketching products using simple tools such as a big pen and cheap print paper, this is something you want to check out. Over the years, I've taught thousands of students from all around the world how to sketch cars and products, and most of them have seen amazing results from my classes. Analog Designer Pro Pack is the full bundle of all my classes I've released over the years, and it's yours for just $47. Check out everything that's included and see what my students have to say in the link in the description, or simply visit analogdesignerpropack.com. So with that said, let me just show you here what is going to happen with this redesign of the Aston Martin Vanquish Volante, and I think it's going to make sense when you see the final result. I'm going to walk you through the final result as well when we get to that point. While we go through this redesign, let's have a look at some of the spec and tech here. So 2026 Aston Martin Vanquish Volante revealed as drop-top flagship. Aston claims the Volante is good for up to 214 miles per hour. In a convertible, that's pretty interesting, making it the fastest series production convertible Aston Martin has ever made. So between the Coupe and the Volante, they only plan of building about 1,000 cars, Vanquishes per year, which is great. It's going to keep the value, it's going to make it more exclusive as well. So after taking a sabbatical that lasted roughly 6 years, the Aston Martin Vanquish returned as Aston's flagship model for 2025. The first generation Vanquish, one of my favorite Aston Martins of all time. That muscle that they had going over the rear axle just looks so good. Very sharp cut in the rear axle. The rear fender for the first generation Vanquish, and it looks fantastic still today. Gearbox was not the best one, but I think you could get it with a manual. That is obviously one you want to go with. That is obviously the one that's going to cost you double the price for a compared to the automatic. So you gotta pay for the manual for sure. Aston Martin has pulled back the cover of 2026 Vanquish Volante. That is the one we're redesigning right here. The 5.2-liter twin-turbo V12 found under the hood of the revised Vanquish Twins was developed from the ground up. So they spent a lot of money here, a lot of millions of pounds or dollars to create a brand new V12, meaning that this V12 is definitely going to be around for a very long time. Otherwise, they would not spend the money on it, obviously. It spawns a stout 823 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque, with peak torque available from 2,000 to 5,000 RPM. So a pretty wide RPM range for the torque, which is great to see. I mean, it's a V12, it's going to have a lot of torque from down low, which is natural for a V12. According to Aston Martin, the V12 enables the Volante to sprint from 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds and to a claimed top speed of 214 miles per hour. 3.4 seconds, 823 horsepower. I feel that is very, very conservative. It's probably a lot faster than that, closer to 3.1, I would say. If they test it at some point, I'm going to guess. I'm going to bet that they're going to go down to 3.1 seconds. So power is sent to the rear wheels only through an 8-speed ZF mounted torque converted transaxle. As with the Coupe, the Volante gets an electronically controlled rear diff. You also have the Bilstein DTX adaptive dampers, pretty much the same as you have in the Coupe. However, here they've been specially tuned along with the chassis to account for the added weight that we have in this convertible. Always when you chop the roof off, you're gonna, I mean, in 99% of the cases, the car is gonna get a lot heavier. You might think if you remove the roof, shouldn't it be a lighter vehicle? No, specifically not when we have a performance convertible like this, because when you lose the roof, you lose a key structure point that helps with the rigidity of the chassis and the entire body to stick together, and the stiffness of it, that gets removed. That means that you need to add a lot more material and strengthening the chassis up to compensate for the lack of the roof that going down from the front A-pillar all the way to the C-pillar and holds the entire car together. So the grille has grown by 13%, and I hope they stop there. I hope we stop at 13%. I don't want to see any larger grills than this. It maintains the elegant demeanor, though. I'm not sure about the elegance in the front with this grille, though. That's the thing. Everything else is so beautiful about this vehicle, but the grille is just not my cup of tea. So, and that is of course why I'm doing this redesign. The soft top, which Aston calls the K-fold, can be opened in 14 seconds and closed in 16 seconds. It comes exclusively in 2-seat setup and has physical controls for all the important driving functions such as drive modes, stability control, and the active exhaust. I hope they do have it for the climate settings as well. Looks like we have a bunch of small little controls inside here, physical controls and buttons, which are great. When you need them, a pair of 10.3-inch digital displays provide information and gauge cluster duties. Totally fine with me because we still have a nice integration of the infotainment screen here. Sits inside of the dash. We have a housing for the gauge cluster, even though it's fully digital. Not a big deal to me. The pricing for this, we have the coupe starting at $432,700. This will be closer to the $500,000 mark when it goes on sale the third quarter of 2025. So with that said, guys, let's check out the redesign. Let me show you exactly what happened here. Pop before and after. So we have the let's see, we have the before right here and popping it in after. To me, I mean, it's I hate to say it again, but this is night and day when it comes to just the elegance of the front end design. It feels like this sits, I mean, I wanted to lower the grille because I think it sits too high up here. So let me do this. Let me show you, let me put the original up top and the redesign at the bottom. So looking at the original here, the main issue I had was, of course, the big grille. And one of the, a couple of issues I have was, first of all, the concave situation that we have, that it's bent inwards. I also think it sits way too high up in the front, and specifically in an exotic like this, you want to have the nose be very tight, very nimble in the front end. So I need to lower it down. And then in the lower section as well, I wanted to remove some of the height in the lower section. So remove this and make this body color right here. And last but not least, when we do these type of changes, the top half right here is going to be moved. So now the top half, the logo and all these lines are going to sit too high up because I lowered the grille. So I had to work a little bit on that and lower this entire piece, the graphics right here, further down to the original position towards the grille. And last but not least, work a little bit on the headlights here to create more of an identity at night. Not sure if this is really C-shape like this is really an identity, but I do think it's more identity than these 3 LEDs that we have in the original one. So a very fun redesign, and this is something that I felt like I just have to do something about this. Even though I did redesign the coupe, I think this redesign of the Volante looks way better than the coupe one I did. It looks more fluid, it looks more natural to have this type of grille, at least in my opinion. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.